is pro sports retirement.
You had no chance with Kelly Kapowski.
You don't make mistakes. It's happy little accidents.
You only live once. Run wild on you. Who would have seen this coming? Oh yeah, he's rank on tackling dummies.
What's cracking, everybody? James Kell, Adam Rank here with you. He is the nature boy, Rank Flair.
Woo!
And of course, woo! We got a great show in front of us, lined up in front of us here today. Got a little bit of a late start, had some technical issues, so I do apologize there, but that's okay. Big show in front of us here today. We're going to be talking about Mike Tomlin, going to be talking about Bryce Love. Why are we talking about Bryce Love, a fourth-round draft pick getting cut by WF? Why are we talking about this dude? You know why? Because we're going to be talking about college sports as well, and whether or not these kids should be going back for their senior year. It's always a bad idea, but I'll expound on that a little bit further. And Bengals uniforms, fire?
Ooh.
No? I don't know. We're going to give our takes on that as well. And we will close out the show, if we got the time, talking about the weirdest song we have on our respective playlists. So you'll be sure to tune in for that, I'm sure. And of course, all the comments we'll be getting to as well. Go ahead, Adam. Right.
I was going to ask, is Flagpole Sitta considered a dumb song? Like, is that like a bad song? That I don't know if that's weird. Although I will say this is every time I have a 2-year-old, his name's Wedge, and every time I start to sing Flagpole Sitter, and I was like, I had visions. He goes, shh. He thinks it's
wow.
the funniest thing. He shushes me. He thinks it's the funniest thing ever.
Okay. All right. Well, great. So we will start, Adam Rank, with, again, Mike Tomlin getting a 3-year extension. And to be honest, I think a lot of Steeler fans maybe were a little bit surprised considering how that team kind of finished up 2020, right? We know they started off 11-0, and then they lost 4 of their last 5 games going into the playoffs, and then they just got absolutely stomped out by the Cleveland Browns, and yet the Steelers reward Mike Tomlin with a 3-year extension. So I guess my question is Mike Tomlin overrated, underrated, or just rated?
I kind of feel like he's rated. He's one of those guys who's I'm trying to think of the proper WWE analogy. And he's somebody who's a part of the card who if you need him to carry the title, he can certainly do that. Probably going to be a secondary title, probably not a world championship often, but he's also just, he's good. Like like here it is. Like I don't have the visceral reaction that I would have if Brock Lesnar walked out of the back or CM Punk or somebody like that. But it's like a mid-carder. Like here comes Titus O'Neil, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of the appropriate, and I'm dumbfounded.
So hold on. Let me get. Is he like a? And again, my references are dated. So to all the pro wrestling fans out there looking for modern references, I apologize. But is he like Razor Ramon?
No, I don't even know if he's Razor Ramon level.
He's not even on Razor's level.
Razor's kind of like really top of the card. Like he was a bit, you got to go back to, obviously your wheelhouse is the Monday Night Wars. He was one of the catalysts for that. He was
but he never held a heavyweight title.
He was the Intercontinental Champion. He was the U.S. Right. I don't know if he is the WCW. I don't know. I just look at Razor a little bit different. I think that Razor is so iconic, and maybe a lot of it was because what he meant just his character wise, that he didn't need a title to be somebody who was super over.
It's true. The
thing with Tomlin, though, is, and I think this might be a problem with the Steelers in general, is that, what did they win, like 4 Super Bowls in the 70s or something?
Or something like that, yeah.
They ride those coattails like way too long. How many total? They have 6. So
Tomlin's gone 1-1 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so they legitimately have like 2. Like they basically have 2.
Wow.
I know, listen. But the 70s.
They legitimately have to. Wow.
Football legitimately started. Like the NFL became a thing, became popular in 85. I think that's when football should be considered, like football started in 85. And that was what, Super Bowl 20?
Okay.
The first 20 years of the Super Bowl era doesn't really count. Like it's whatever. Look at the guys who were playing back then. Like they used to have this thing, because my dad used to watch it, called wasn't Battle of the Network Stars, but it was like that for sports, and they would have like, hey, the Steelers are going up against the Oakland A's, and the Oakland A's were sitting there beating them in a tug of war with Billy Martin working the anchor man or whatever. You're like, they weren't. It wasn't a thing. The NFL wasn't the NFL till like
You're right.
To about 85.
You're right.
And
You're right.
So honestly, you've won as many as the Ravens since 85. Or when was I don't even since the Ravens' existence. You guys have won a couple. And I don't know. And one of them was tenuous because it was Super Bowl 40 against the whatevers.
Seahawks?
The Seahawks, yeah.
Right.
So
That one
I
was
think
poorly officiated.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like the Steelers are just in this thing like they're good. Like you're going to be competitive for a long time. They fall into kind of the similar category as the Packers, where it's like you're always going to be good, but we don't look at their teams like this is just such a great team. It's like, no, you're good. Sorry, my phone is vibrating. I gotta go on. I gotta go. I know. I'm like, why is James keeping his phone on? I'm making a point about the Steelers. I'm like, oh wait, it was me. I feel like, I don't know. Like if you want to go 10-6 every year, you're never going to finish worse than 8-8. And you know what? If that's what you want, but I don't know. It just feels like such a safe pick. Like, let's stay together for the kids type of move.
Wow. That, my friend, I just feel like you're not putting enough spec on Mike Tomlin's name, man, as you briefly alluded to. But he's not even Razor Ramon level, bro. Like,
do you
come
think
on.
He's one of the best coaches in the NFL?
I do. I think
if we're doing Top Gun. We're Top Gun. Is he Iceman? Is he Maverick? Or is he one of the guys who doesn't have a speaking role?
You know what? Maybe he's Iceman. I honestly believe that.
Not.
Look, why not?
Iceman was actually Top Gun. And I'm sorry to I know Smokey's here. So Josh, Garrett's here. Garrett has no idea.
What?
I throw
What
out
are we talking?
because Garrett's 19. Like he doesn't.
Okay, wait. So hold on. So Maverick is. You're saying Maverick is what? The 1B to Iceman's 1A?
Yeah. Iceman he won Top Gun. Like Maverick came in third.
Okay.
He's
Fine.
Sean McVay.
Fine. Then he's Maverick. I don't know. I don't know how to go with this here. But bottom line is, in my opinion, I think he's a top five coach in the NFL. As a matter of fact, I might put him in the top three. We're talking about a guy that has never gone below 8-8. He's never had a losing record in 14 seasons in the NFL. And then when I take a look at his long track record of basically developing guys, and to me, that is a real good indication of what a head coach is. Can he develop a player? And you look at the long list of guys that he's been able to develop, and I really, truly believe he's right there. I mean, look at what he's done with all these running backs. To me, I think when we talk about the legacy of Mike Tomlin, I think player development, has to be talked about, and it doesn't get talked about enough. Like Willie Parker, random fast Willie Parker, undrafted running back out of North Carolina. He had 3 consecutive 1,200-plus yard rushing seasons, right? Then you get to guys like Santonio Holmes or Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and even Deontay Johnson to a degree right now. These are guys that were not necessarily highly touted. Of course, Antonio Brown, a super late round draft pick. And I just look at the development that Mike Tomlin has been able to bring out of these offensive players. Look, on the defensive side of the ball as well, I think he's gotten a lot out of his players there too. So when I look at player development, he's right there with Pete Carroll in terms of developing players and turning them into great players. And to me, that is a mark of a great head coach. And that's why I'm saying Mike Tomlin, to me, top 3 coach in the NFL right now. Maybe it's a bit of a hot take. You know what I'm saying? But
let me hold on. You're doing
go ahead.
Very well. You're making very cogent points. Obviously, when you look at the Steelers players who leave via free agency, they typically go on and they're not like the guys that you think that they're going to be, which is fine.
Right.
That's a feather in his cap. I think that part of it is good. The 8-8 thing always kind of strikes me as a little bit odd because they're in a division with the Bengals and the Browns. And so you're guaranteeing yourself 4 wins. All he has to do is win 4 games. And you figure he's probably going to split, although they get swept by the Ravens more than they probably should. But they start every year with 4 wins. That's what all you got to do is go 4-10.
First of all, how is that even remote? How is that even remotely fair? I mean, look at the NFC North. You got the Lions. You've got the Bears. Like
one of the most
there's a lot
franchises ever.
Since when? If we're doing the whole 1985 thing, Adam.
Listen, you've got.
If we're doing the whole 1985 thing, Adam Ring, since when have they been one of the storied franchises?
I don't like that you're so dismissive of George Halas and all the great things that he did in the NFL.
Me? I'm not. You're dismissing him. You said the NFL doesn't count before 1985.
It only doesn't count when it serves my point. How do you not know this about me by now? Goodness. I would prefer to sit here and talk out of both sides of my mouth. So that's what I do.
Okay.
Listen, but okay. So exactly what you're saying, like you're kind of describing Mike McCarthy and somebody who was able to get by for a lot of years because the talent was so good and because he was coaching Aaron Rodgers. And then now we've seen in Dallas, it didn't look so great last season. And Mike Tomlin, I think, has done a very good job. And maybe we don't give him enough credit for what we've seen with Antonio Brown since he's left the team. So maybe you've got a point there. I think that he's a good coach. And I didn't want to listen. I said he was top of the card. I just didn't say he was main event. And you know what? Like if you want to win 8-10, like there's something about the consistency that's good. I know that Steeler fans are a little irrational. Because like our friend Dave Damashek is always like, hey, like he always acts like his team is the Patriots. And I'm like, bro, like that. No, you didn't live. Like maybe you did live in that era, but like, no,
right.
They're not even in the same category anymore. Like it's completely different. Like you're the aging Hollywood star where you're like, yeah, nobody really cares about you anymore. Like Clooney was great. And, but now he's towards, he's got young kids now and I'm a Clooney guy. So don't get me wrong. But in any event, let's talk about something else, though.
Okay.
Because I know this will be near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
Bryce Love was cut by the Washington FT, but don't you think there's like a bigger story to this than just some 4th rounder who was released?
I think so, man. And the big thing for me is I would tell all these college prospects, any NFL prospect out there, never go back to school, ever. We're talking about Bryce Love because he got cut by the WFT. And there are folks out there saying, okay, well, that's just not a big deal. Listen, if you follow Pac-12 football and you were to tell me in 2017 that 4 years from today, Bryce Love will have never carried an NFL football in his career, there's no one in America who follows college football that would have told you that is even possible. And yet that's what we're looking at with Bryce Love, because in 2017, this guy was second in the Heisman, Adam Rank. He won the Doak Walker, which is the college's top award for a college running back. This is a guy that posted 2,100 rushing yards, a boatload of touchdowns, and was a surefire, top 2 round pick in the NFL. Actually, I went back to go look at it, and obviously the 2018 or the 2017 draft actually was pretty loaded in terms of running backs. You had Saquon, Rashad Penny, Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, Rojo, Kerryon Johnson, and Darius Geis, who I know is out of the league now for various other reasons because he's a dirtbag. But at the time, he was a highly considered prospect. So we're talking about, what are we talking here? 5 running back. He was a top 5 running back prospect in my mind. There were 7 running backs that were drafted in the first 2 rounds, and I think Bryce Love would have been one of those guys. Instead, what happens, Adam, right? He goes back to Stanford, and then in his last college game against Cal in the big game, he tears his ACL, falls all the way to the 4th round, never gets an opportunity. You saw a coaching change. He basically never got an opportunity to showcase his wares, and now he's out of the league. To me, it's a tragic story for an incredibly talented guy that if he had come out, who knows what his story looks like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also a Stanford guy. So I'm not like super worried about what he's going to do for the rest of his life. And I think that anytime that you go to a school like Stanford, you're probably going to go back. Like I think Andrew Luck went back a year before he did and everything like that. And, but I look at it and it kind of reminds me, and I'm going to lose Garrett again with another reference to somebody who he's probably never heard of. By the way, first of all, James, I hope you go on Garrett's podcast. I know he's been asking.
I will.
And he's 22, so I want to give him the respect that he deserves. I want to bring to mind the Yasmin Bleeth principle. And for anybody,
where are we going?
Nobody knows this. You know what? If you watch Friends in syndication, you'll know who Yasmin Bleeth is because she was on Baywatch. She was also the female lead of Basketball, I think, which was the peak of her career. And she, like a lot of other of the women who are on Baywatch, were approached to pose in Playboy, and she chose not to, turning down millions of dollars. And it always, I'm like, this fame thing is always fleeting. Like maybe take the payday, maybe take the opportunity to really cash in while you have the chance, because you never know what's going to happen. She gets involved with Richard Grieco. She eventually gets arrested on drug charges, and I don't even know what she's doing today. And who knows? I mean, she probably would have blown the money by now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but you have the opportunity. Like, you might as well take advantage of it. Like, always just try to take advantage of the guarantee. It's kind of like, I don't know. I always like, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk. I think I'm allowed to talk about playing table games, going to Vegas. I always consider myself a gambler, and people don't understand what the phrase gambler means, because they'll be like, gambler means risking it all. And it's like, no, gambling means judging your risk and taking the best possible outcome. So if you're sitting at a blackjack table and you're $400 up after a $50 buy-in, that probably behooves you just to leave.
Let's just go.
I'm going to leave. Like, I'm good. I'm up 350. I'm getting out of here. Where a lot of people will be like, I'm on house money now. I'm going to do whatever, which to me is always stupid. Like, I always say, it also, like, this is another thing that you learn from me playing golf too, is that guys who are putting for birdie are like, yeah, I'm not going to leave it short. And then they hit it 20 feet past, and then you end up four putting, and your birdie turns into a double or triple bogey. Although a lot of times, like when you miss the par putt on the back, and I've seen guys do this, they'll be like, they'll still be 6 feet away, and then they pick it up like, damn it, I didn't get it. I'm like, what are you doing? That's still another putt you got to make. So I'm more of a, like, even on my birds, I'm not trying to lag it. I'm trying to make it, but I'm like, I'm not going past. I'll leave it a little short or do whatever.
Sure.
So I think that
Why not?
With a lot of these athletes, it would be better for them just to say, you know what? I'm guaranteed a first or second round, and I love Stanford. Here's the thing, though. Stanford's still going to be there. Stanford's not going away.
That's the thing.
Nobody's preventing you to go back and to get your degree. Now, I think that what did he want? He wants to be a veterinarian, a pediatrician.
No, he wants to be a pediatrician. Believe it or not, he actually got his biology degree at Stanford. So big ups to him.
Love him. Like he's a very smart person. Stanford was always going to be there. Like, might as well go in there while you're young. You don't want to wait around too long. And like that's, I don't know, like the money you're going to make in the NFL. And you also want to get into the system.
Yes,
you want to get like
exactly.
You killed a year of your free agency, so you want to get into the system. Like, don't you have some examples of guys who kind of did it the right way?
I mean, look at what Mitch Trubisky did. Literally one good season, and the guy was a top 2 pick. He's set for life if he wants to with that top 2 money. You know what I'm talking about? Blake Bortles, I mean, he had 2 good seasons, I guess, but really one kind of notable season, right, where the team won a lot of games. And that guy ends up being a top three pick. It's mind-boggling to me. When the iron is hot, you got to strike. And on the flip side of that, there's so many countless examples. Matt Barkley is somebody that comes to mind. This is a guy that could have legitimately been a top 10 pick. And then he goes back to USC for what, Adam? Right? He wants to go play for Lane Kiffin? Like, dog, who are your advisors? Fire those people. Like, come on, bro. Like, come out in the NFL draft and do their thing.
They beat Ohio State, though. Remember that season?
Gosh.
Like they beat, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, if I got this twisted, but I think they beat Ohio State in like the first game of the season. They go to the Horseshoe and they're like, see, Barkley came back. This is why. And then Lane Kiffin happens.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. It was a stacked team. Lane Kiffin was there. He absolutely mangled the entire talented roster. USC ends up going 7-6 that season. And then what happens to Barkley? He gets picked apart by the scouts. People are worried about the medicals, and all of a sudden, this dude who was a top 10 pick the year before ends up going in the 4th round.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a completely different ball game financially for him. So I think, and this one's a super low key one, Adam, right? But Brett Hundley. Okay, my wife went to UCLA. I'm a UC guy, and people forget about Brett Hundley because when he was on fire at UCLA, he could have come out in 2014. He could have been a Mitch Trubisky where he had one good season, but he wanted to go back. And in my opinion, and honestly, when you look at the draft that year in 2014, he could have legitimately been a top 2 quarterback drafted. So we're talking definitely in the first round, maybe a top 10 pick, because in that draft class in 2014, it was such a weak quarterback class. It was Teddy Bridgewater, it was Blake Bortles, it was Johnny Manziel and Derek Carr, and that's it. Yeah. And that is it. I think when you look at a 6'4" guy with good athleticism, decent arm strength, I think Brett Hundley could have easily been a top 2 quarterback selected off that board. It's the same draft where, again, Blake Bortles, we mentioned, was a top 3 pick. So I felt like Brett Hundley, if he had come out that year, might have been a top 10 pick in that NFL draft. And then what happens? He goes back, has a horrible season, ends up being a 4th round draft pick for the Green Bay Packers, and then ended up being nothing because he had to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for his entire career and ends up being nothing. So I feel very passionately about this. I feel very strongly about this. I never understand why college kids go back to school. It's always a horrible decision. It's always a good decision to come out. Forget about player development. You can develop in the NFL, man. Forget about all that stuff.
Do it on their dime. Let them develop you. Like if Mitch Trubisky had come back to North Carolina, he would have been a 4th round pick. Easy. They would have figured it out. You know what? This is also a life lesson for people, not necessarily people who are in the NFL. You find this in society of people trying to tag their jokes in public. And what I mean is, like, if you're in a group of people and you land a killer joke and you make everybody laugh, I can follow it up. Like, I'm good enough. I have the skills. Like, I can keep going. But even I will sometimes rest on that joke and, like, not say another goddamn word for an hour. Too many times. And guys, especially guys who are trying to like pick up people or whatever, if you land it and and somebody laughs, shut up. Like don't try to follow it up. Don't try to do anything. Let that joke just linger, and you're funny. You've established that you're funny. Any more talking that you're going to do is probably going to show that you're not funny. So just stop. And then just start asking the person question, and subscribe, by the way. Start asking the person questions and then turn it around. You've already, you made them laugh. Now move on. But no, then the problem is too many people. And I have a friend who is notorious for this, who is so good at would land a one-liner. And I'd be like, dude, don't say anything else. And then he's just trying to tag the joke. And it gets worse and worse to the point that he's now irritating people. And nobody thinks you're funny anymore.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's a life lesson. Garrett,
it is.
take notes.
Okay, it's a very good life lesson. Hey, okay, so speaking of college prospects that look like they might pan out, Joey Burrow obviously suffered a pretty bad injury last season, but we're hoping he comes back. I thought what he put on tape behind a horrendous offensive line looked really good, but I will ask you this, Adam Rank. Does the Bengals uniform, did the uniform reveal get you going? Was it fire or no?
Fire. I loved it.
Fire.
Here's the one thing is that the Bengals uniform was trying to do too many different things where they had that side panel stripe and like all these other things.
Sure.
And I know people were mocking it. I think it was Connor Orr who was mocking it. Like they got rid of a stripe and a side panel. I'm like, well, that's all they needed to do. Like their uniforms were pretty close to being great. And I might be in the minority. I love the Bengals helmets. Like I always think
Me too.
I think it's a cool helmet. Like I think that because you see like the old Pat McAnally helmet where it just said Bengals. It looks so dumb. Like you have a Bengal. Like you should be able to have some pride. And I thought the stripes, like when I was a little kid, I used to draw the helmets. You know, I would sit there in school and not pay attention and just start drawing helmets and drawing the NFL helmets. And the Bengals one, it was always so tough because like they have like there's such intricacy to the helmet that I always liked it. I think the colors are amazing. I think that I'm a big fan of any team that wears all white uniforms. I think when the Bears go white tops, white bottoms, it looks like fire. And I think the Bengals is really good. I think they're the white top with the black pants. They're one of the few teams that I feel like that's the best. And I know that I care way too much about uniforms. I'm talking about uniform numbers, talking about whatever. I thought they were pretty cool. What'd you think?
I liked it too, man. And I kind of sort of like their all whites. Generally, when teams go with all whites, they a little bit boring. But I don't know, there's something about that clean look. And then when you stick on that orange helmet on the all whites, it actually looks pretty dope, man. So I was really impressed by the uniform reveal. Sometimes, and I think you mentioned it. Some people were like, oh, they didn't really do that much, but sometimes less is more. And there's a little bit less going on the uniform part, on the tops and the bottoms, and it kind of sort of lets, and to your point in terms of the helmets, it kind of sort of lets the helmet sing a little bit more. And I'm with you, man. I dig the helmet. I think the helmet's one of the best in the NFL, man. I love that thing. So anything that kind of brings more attention to the helmet to me, I think is a smart move, and I thought they did a good job with this new uniform.
Great color combination too, so it's really sharp. They did a nice job, and I think everybody just wants to hate on stuff. Like you're never gonna get like a full consensus.
No, you're not. Absolutely not. All right, let's move on.
Wait, before we move on.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
because I got a thing. I gotta go do NFL 101 at some point today. Actually, at the top of the hour. In any event, I gotta put on a suit.
What is NFL 101?
Oh, it's Fantasy 101. I'm doing glossary terms like, hey, the zero RB theory is a draft strategy where you don't draft a running back in the first 4 rounds.
Okay.
But I know we had talked about Alex, like we had put Alex Smith on the rundown. Go listen to the Adam Rank podcast. I've got a take on it there. We don't need to. I actually want to get into this thing, and I know that I didn't know if I was supposed to throw to you because I really want to know. I think this is a cool conversation to have. I know Patty Oski, who's on with us, Flatbill Patty. Flatbill Patty is a musician, so I want everybody to weigh in here. Weirdest song that you have on your playlist? I think everybody's Google Music and so whatever Spotify. Whatever you use. What is the weirdest thing? Like for you, what is the weirdest song? Like I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure, but what is like the weirdest thing you have?
I've got, and I'm semi embarrassed to admit this, but I've got some Blackpink songs on my playlist that are just out of nowhere. So it's a female K-pop group. I know.
What?
I know. I told you. You asked me what's the weirdest one. This is it. I'm telling you, man. And for those folks that know me, it's like I'm like a hip hop guy, right? Like I love Nas, I love Jay-Z, I love these guys from the 90s and early 2000s. Like I'm still rocking with Eminem all day long, right? And some of the newer guys too. Like I say newer. Like I still I still listen to a lot of Lil Wayne. I still listen to a lot of 2 Chainz. Right? Like these are my dudes. Like, and then out of nowhere, it's an RKO out of nowhere. I'm listening all of a sudden during quarantine. I'm obsessed with like Korean K-pop. Like I don't know what's going on with me, man. Like, and I can't explain it. I like Blackpink. I'm listening to the entire BTS discography. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying myself. Quarantine's been weird, and now I guess my music tastes are a little weird too. I don't know, man. I've got no explanation. I'm not even trying to defend myself, Adam, right? I'm not. I'm really not.
I don't think.
But I am enjoying the hell out of Blackpink and BTS right now. I don't know why.
I don't think that Clark's talking about detachable penis. That is a weird song. That is, it's funny though, because I think that everybody, like you said, you like hip hop, and I'm assuming that you're walking around, you're listening to stuff, hip hop's going. I've been really a lot more into 90s punk over the last year or so. Like I grew up with it, so I obviously like it. But
who are you, Matt Money Smith?
No. He's more Sublime.
Okay.
He's more REM. I'm more Blink 182. Recently got into Rancid a lot too. So you'll be listening to these. Goldfinger was another one of my favorite bands. So you'll be listening to these bands, and I Won't Back Down and listening to the angst of Scotty Armstrong or something like that. And then all of a sudden the next song that hits is Taylor Swift, and it's like you're you're hot and you're cold, you're yes and you're no, you're in and you're out. Oh wait, that's Katy. No wait, hold on, that's Katy Perry. But still, like Katy Perry. What is Taylor Swift? Shake It Off. Yeah, that's it. Sorry,
right. Sure. Okay, got
like
it.
Like that. Like I'll have.
And
that going
by the
on.
way, that's in pop music. That's like confusing Tupac for Biggie, or like confusing Jay-Z for Nas. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that.
I do it as a joke because it irritates Marcus, and he's always got to call it out because the girl, like people will get legitimately upset. Like I know the Katy Perry song "In and You're Out." Like come on, I'm not an idiot, but it really makes people upset because like how dare you? And but Marcus always has to step on the joke. He's like he's doing this on purpose. You're like, bro, I know this is an act, and I'm playing around. And this is what I do. I will also point out I think one of the weirdest things that I do is because I love watching videos on YouTube. And one time I just wanted to watch the final dance number of an 80s movie called Xanadu. And
Xanadu.
Olivia Newton-John. And it's the dude from The Warriors. I don't know if you've ever seen The Warriors, if anybody's familiar with that movie. But the dude from The Warriors is in a musical with Olivia Newton-John. I'm so bummed because it's no longer on HBO Max. It's really worth your time. It literally is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
That's great.
I know that my sister loved it, and she had a thing, like, I don't know, like a poster in her room, and it was Olivia Newton-John in peak Olivia Newton-John. And so... yeah, so I watched the movie one time, and then that final dance number, which is like 12 minutes long, and Gene Kelly, I think is the person's name, is the older guy, like the Frank Sinatra type person, is roller skating, and I'm like, how old is this guy that he's rolling? Like it's fascinating, and I don't know what it is, but I will watch that. I also have LaRue's Bulletproof in my I think that was from that.
Is that weird?
I
don't feel like that's weird. That's a good
song.
song.
It's from the video game. Well, now because like I always when I talk about like getting the Moderna shot or I've got one Pfizer in me, but then I talk about being bulletproof, and so that's my joke. Like call me LaRue because I'm bulletproof. What up? So I like that one a lot. What was the other thing? Did I do the Harvey Danger thing before?
No, I don't think so.
Did I say that?
Did you say Harvey?
Were we on the air when I was talking about my boy shushing me?
No. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I don't know. No.
Were we on?
What? It doesn't matter. Tell the story. I can't remember.
My boy, like I used to when he was a kid, they always say the first 5. and you gotta do your thing. And so I would sing to my boy, and I would sing Harvey Danger Tim, Flagpole Sitta. Not one of their other hits, but Flagpole Sitta. And I had visions. I was in, anytime I do that.
One of their other hits, yes.
My boy now just is like, shh, laughs his ass off. Like he's a crazy person. But it is weird, like just the stuff like I get old Depeche Mode into my, like, this is when, was it Vincent Clark was one of the original, because like he wrote a lot of their early stuff. Now he's the guy on Erasure. And this is 80s movie, 80s and 90s music chat with James Coe and Adam Rank. I'll have a lot of that stuff in there too. But is there any, like, oh my God, you know what? There's a station on Sirius XM. I've been listening to Outlaw Country.
Outlaw Country? It is like you're talking about like old school, like Bakersfield country? Like what are we talking here?
I don't know. I don't
like
know.
Johnny Cash and
not even Johnny Cash. Like Tom Petty shows up every once in a while. But it's a bunch of songs I've never heard of, but they all sound like they should be in a Burt Reynolds movie.
There you go.
It's been fantastic. I don't know. Outlaw Country. I think it might be my new thing.
That's great, man. No, I actually worked in Bakersfield for a little bit, so all those, I got familiar with some of that music, man. That's you were
a country, you were a country DJ.
I was not in Bakersfield, but yes, I was a country music DJ for about 2 years.
Oh,
believe it or not. I was the Korean cowboy. That's who I was.
Did you go?
No.
Did you what was your, did you go by James Coe or did you have to have a country
I did.
name?
No, I didn't have a country name. Although I will say when a lot of folks, I mean, and that was the other thing too. It's like, I didn't mind being the Korean cowboy because I didn't want to pretend. I didn't want people to be surprised when they met me, I guess, in real life, you know?
Yeah.
And like part of it too is kind of like, it's kind of neat that an Asian dude's playing country music. You know, it's like, it's pretty rare.
That's pretty cool.
I would imagine there's probably like not too many Asian American country music DJs in the history of country music DJing.
Do you remember?
I would imagine
Henry Cho, the comedian, the Asian with the Southern accent, who is from Tennessee, I believe he was. By the way, one of the nicest guys of all time. He was in one of the Revenge of the Nerds movies doing an Elvis impersonation, which was just so good. It was so good, but that was a big part of his act about, like, you know, growing up as an Asian in Nashville, I believe it was. And he had the Southern drawl and everything. It was,
that's great.
So I think it's a very,
what a complete mind bend, you know what I mean? To see that. It's great. I love it.
Oh, he's doing his stand up talking about dipping and everything. And you're like, I didn't think this is what I was going to see tonight.
I love it, man. I love it. Hey, listen, I know you are running short on time, Adam Rank. We're going to let you go here. What is it that you're on? How can we find that, dude?
Well, it's going to be Fantasy 101. And what we do, it's released through the app, the all-new NFL Fantasy. I don't know how much longer we can still call it the all-new NFL Fantasy.
The all-new!
But we are doing some content for that. Last year, we did a series called NFL 101 where we went over some of the basic terms, and I'll be doing some videos on zero RB strategy, handcuffs, a lot of stuff. Like anybody who's watching the show right now, this is probably not going to pertain to you, but this is going to be for a lot of our first-time fantasy
the
users.
Newer fans.
We're new. Like if you haven't played fantasy a lot and you hear zero RB and you think like you don't have any running backs, I'm going to go out there and explain that to you. And then also today I'm doing the Hawks podcast, not our Hawk, but Atlanta.
You're going on TJ Hawkinson's podcast?
No. I'm not going on that one. I'm not going on that one. I should actually find the name. That would be. I'm going to be on our SF 49ers on YouTube.
Okay.
On Instagram. Jeez Louise. Where's my cursor?
There you go. I don't know, but while you were looking, let me just say hi and what's up to all the folks out there. Joe Morley, Warzone Sports Network, Clark Schuyler, who's been a huge supporter of both of our work. Richard Campa. Dick Campa in the business. I love it. We appreciate you coming through. How about Garrett Talks? NFL. I think you were a guest on his show. I'm going to be a guest on his show relatively soon.
We got to get Matt Harmon to do it too.
That's true. Dynasty Vipers. Oh, by the way, can I do a shameless plug?
No.
Receptionperception.com. It's up. It's running. If you guys would be so kind to go check it out, it is behind a paywall. We're selling subscriptions. It's the best wide receiver. It's the best wide receiver information and data in the business, man. And Matt Harmon actually has college prospects and his evaluations on college prospects up right now. But yes, go sign up today. I think it's what is it, $29.99 for our Prime access, $19.99 for our basic access, and then for you sickos out there who just want everything, $99.99 for all historical data on receptionperception.com as well. Last thing I'll say about rp.com is the fact that we built out the new tool. It's a sortable data sheet. And you can actually download it to your computer, whatever it is, but it basically sorts out, success rate versus man, success rate versus zone, success rate on nines, and all these metrics that Matt Harmon is able to kind of measure out for the very first time. It's sortable data tables, and I think that's a really powerful tool and a really cool tool, which is why I got involved with the whole project anyways, but go check it out, receptionperception.com. All right. Should we wrap the show, Adam? Go ahead.
Real quick. Dynasty Vipers. I thought when you were saying cheap plug, I thought you were going to say that we're on that show. We're on Dynasty Vipers this Friday.
On Friday. Yeah.
So
we're going to be on that show. We're going to be on there together. The Tackling Dummies. For the very first time, going to be doing a guest spot. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Why not? Yeah, man. But yeah, man, I appreciate all you folks. Patio, of course, always coming through. But I appreciate everybody coming through. Flat Bill Patty. I appreciate everybody coming through. But yeah, man, listen, we're going to be on every Wednesday, as you guys know. And we would definitely appreciate you guys pulling up and sitting with us for just about an hour. 45 minutes-ish is kind of the length of the show. All right, Adam Rank, any final thoughts, pal?
Well, I would have had more weird stories if I didn't jam my schedule like I do. I don't know why I do this to myself. They're like, do you want to, honestly, what I do is I try to do everything on Wednesday so I can golf the rest of the week. Actually, I pick up my children. My boy has been into golf. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram.
I saw that. That's cool.
Like, he swings a club, so it's pretty cool. So, yeah, but thanks to everybody who did this. I know Flat Bill Patty was talking about the randomness of the show. We did have another football topic, but I switched it to music because I wanted to talk music.
And if you know Adam Rank, I was going to say, if you know Adam Rank, he's going to talk about the stuff that he likes to talk about. And it's not always football. But hey, listen, we will be back next Wednesday. If you haven't, please like and subscribe and do all of those fun things. Go find Adam Rank on his YouTube channel as well. We will see you next Wednesday. Deuces.